order. I prefer pulling the cards while everyone's present. Let's give just one more minute though. So with this next minute, feel free to come to any meditative position you prefer. We'll take a few moments to kind of tap into ourselves and connect a bit to prepare ourselves for the reading. Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. That wrapped around blanket looks so nice. I'm inspired. I think I'm gonna do the same thing. All right. We'll get started here. Okay, let's come into however we want our body to be. If you're in a seated position, feel free to kind of feel your left and right sides as you're being built upwards. Feel that foundation in the lower body and allow the extension of the spine to just be as it is. You might grow it a little bit with your inhales. You can allow your exhales to just kind of settle yourself down. And if you're horizontal or lying down, just notice all parts of the body touching the floor. Well, regardless of how your body is, just notice all parts that are touching the floor. Really tune into that earth element here, the physicality of your environment. You might even kind of take in the walls and ceiling and floor, just all of your spatial awareness, the room that you inhabit. Good. And then bring the awareness to the breath now. Acknowledging the element of air as it flows, and air representing consciousness too, and thought and perception. Just allow your thoughts to kind of run as they are in your head. And listen. Listen to yourself, but see if you can hear the thoughts without identifying to them, without attaching to them. Just hear them and let them run through you. Today we're going to work with the balance between earth and air. And as I pull some cards, you can just sit with these concepts of earth being the practical realm of tangibility, the senses lie here and perception in regards to taste, sight, sound, vibrations that are felt in the body. And then the element of air being thought, perception. So a different way of receiving information. We have more opinions attached, things we say are true or false, right or wrong. And then that double-edgedness that the swords, the air, have. Let's count the next 3 breaths that we take. Really fully release all the air with your next exhale. And then as you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the screen as I show you the images of the cards I pulled. I pulled 2 from the Wild Unknown deck, 1 to represent Earth, 1 to represent air. And I pulled another one from Moonchild to kind of use as a beacon card. I will cross that bridge when we get there. First, here's the Earth card I pulled, which is an Earth suit. We have Pentacles. So the cards were listening, I guess. And the 3 of Pentacles. So we can see the image of this mountain here and the 3 peaks. There's that nice one in the middle being supported by these 2 on the outside. I also appreciate the symbolism of the triangle facing downwards. So this straight line is at the bottom. We have this sense of kind of digging deeper into the roots here. So we have this angle going downwards as being represented and reflected by going upwards to all of this physical space that's being pushed up and out. So we have a lot of meaning behind support in the tangible realm. So whatever that might mean for you, support in the tangible physical realm. For air, I pulled the moon. This is in the major arcana. Yeah, the moon. And we only see it through the sun reflecting off of it. So there's like this sense of mystery and illumination, kind of the subconscious spookiness, perhaps, right? It's like that side that doesn't necessarily get addressed head on all the time, but it's there. And it's interesting too, because as I link the moon more with water than I would say air, because of the tides and the connection with it. And it is more of a feely, watery realm, which kind of helps soften that air, the sharpness of the air. So here's what these two cards look like next to one another. Love that earthy representation here with the trees and the mountain. And then the question, or rather intention I asked for this next card was, how can we transmute these things? Like, how can we move forward? And I guess the answer, if there is an answer, is Queen of Wands here. We see this liveliness, like look at these colors, that brightness. Let's see if I can get better light. Yeah, and that like gentle smile. I can almost feel sun coming down on her face. Wands, element of fire. So action, doing. We'll pick her apart a little more throughout class. But let's start with the duality of these two and get back into a meditative position here. We'll start seated. Of course, you are welcome to do what your body wants to do. But feel free to lay down a solid foundation of perhaps a cushion or a pillow or a folded blanket to sit on. And get into that body. Whenever you're ready, you might close the eyes, kind of bring the awareness deeper inward, and see if you can see your own body in your mind's eye. Just kind of see the structure that you are. Good. And let's be guided through our bodies here. So feel the lower body, however the legs are folded, wherever they bend. Noticing your toes and the feet. Noticing your ankles and your lower legs coming to the knee, coming to the thighs. And if you haven't already, you might reveal the sit bones a bit by pulling your seat meat outwards. And then after that physical act of like moving and making yourself a little wider, you might bring the hands to your thighs. You might kind of rub up and down a little bit, just feel any heat or vibrations or textures, kind of feeling all of it. And then settle into some stillness here, and then notice what you feel on those hands, if there's any tingly remembrances of movement, little memories of movement. And then the next exhale you have, let it out all the way, bringing the awareness to your pelvis and your seat. And then your next inhale, big lower belly expansion. Full and complete exhale when you get to it. So just take a few moments here, deep belly breathing, grounding ourselves. We'll hang out here for a while, maybe like 10 or 12 deep, full breaths. Keeping the awareness belly region. Yeah, noticing with each breath any movement that happens with the viscera, encouraging some tension to release in the guts here. And we'll count the next 3 breaths again. Good, we can take this next breath together. Let it out as a sigh. Good. And let's bring our hands to our belly now. Good. You might kind of press your hands into your own tissue here for a bit. Just like some pulsing back and forth, side to side little compressions here. Maybe you kind of just, how do I describe this with words? Just kind of give yourself a visceral massage. I like to kind of wiggle my flesh a bit. This region, like diaphragm downward, can get a lot of fascial tension. So like the connective tissue of your fascia can all get a little bundled up. So just kind of gentle little pokes and prods of like, hey, it's okay, you can release. And we might not normally touch ourselves like this too, so maybe it is new to you and you just kind of notice how it feels. Yeah, we're just gonna kind of help shake it up here. For me, myself, I'm using kind of more brisk movement, but maybe your body prefers a little more gentleness. And intuitively, it could tell you. And then now, after you kind of explore that region, we're gonna make clockwise little circles here. So going around, yes, clockwise, in the direction that your intestines go. So they go up on the right side, down on the left side. Good. Yeah, one thing with Earth, an overabundance of Earth, elementally, could be some stagnation, lack of movement. So we're kind of encouraging a little bit of movement here. We're also incorporating the element of fire too, of heat and movement and action. Good. And then we will continue this movement. Let's shake out our hands. Flap those wrists around, wiggle the fingers. Maybe you pull on each finger. You might crack the knuckles. Just kind of explore your hands a bit. You might dig your thumb into your palm. Yeah, Spirit is telling me guts and hands. Let's notice our guts and our hands. Good. Let's rub the palms together. So now the heat is just directly in our hands. Good. Feel that heat. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring our hands on our chest, kind of crossing at the wrists. So the right hand's towards the left chest, left towards the right. And just feel that heat on your own heart here. And see if you can feel the beat of your heart. Rhythm. Slowly bow your chin towards your chest, dropping the head down in reverence. And let's take time here for gratitude. Recalling the image of the Three of Pentacles, that mountain. And recalling what this image represents. There's this sense of like conquering a bit, overcoming obstacles, ascending above, being supported and held. The space in which you can grow has been held for you. So let's have gratitude for those space holders in our life. Have gratitude for those that helped us lay down a solid foundation for growth. Good. And then as we're bowing here, just feel it in your neck and chin. Open and close the jaw. Just kind of loosen up here. And then we'll bow even deeper and we'll drop the shoulders forward and we'll just round our spine down. We can bring our hands back towards our knees now. So kind of like a seated cat, this dropping forward, rounding of the spine inward. And then as you're ready with your next inhale, we'll come to a seated cow. So we'll press the chest forward, bring those shoulder blades together and lift the chin up. You might open the mouth. You might sigh. Good. Come back to a seated cat. Curling on in. And then a seated cow. Good. So we'll allow ourselves to kind of flow into this back and forth motion with breath. And you're welcome to stay seated, or if you want to come to traditional cat-cow on hands and knees, feel free. If you're on your hands and knees, you're kind of able to play around with that ground beneath you too, and really feel those hands spreading wide. And you can also really feel your guts too, as you're arching and bending. Yeah, you might notice other planes of motion that you have. So we're going side to side, or sorry, back and forth rather, but maybe you notice your sides too. Going on this frontal plane. There's all other angles that we can move to, so feel free to kind of explore and get intuitive with it and allow your movements to kind of be more subconscious, like they're just happening and you're experiencing them and witnessing them, rather than yourself like, oh, I'm going to do this. So not so much planning, just kind of being. And as we're doing this, we can recall the image of the card, the moon. The visual representation in this deck is pretty simple, which I think I love because the concept itself is not too simple. Or maybe it is. Actually, maybe it is simple, but because it's in the subconscious, it's not necessarily easy to articulate. Yeah, we have plenty of time here, so feel free to just allow yourself to move intuitively for like the next 12 or so breaths. If you want, you might do some thread the needles. If you want to get some opening in the chest, that is optional for yourself. But yeah, about 12 or so breaths. Good. Notice the next few breaths. Good. And then when you're ready, either come back to a seated position or come to a child's pose, whatever your body prefers. Sometimes the knees and hips aren't necessarily comfortable in child's pose, so you can sit. But if you are in child's pose, allow that belly to just drop down between the thighs. Allow that pelvis to sink down towards the heels. This guidebook I have offers affirmations for cards. And for the Queen of Wands, it has, I sustain this power and path. I sustain this power and path. This is the card I pulled to kind of help piece together these two concepts of what is physical and tangible and what isn't, of what's conscious and aware and what isn't. The Queen of Wands definitely does represent sustenance, sustaining, resilience to be strong-willed, fierce, passionate, and outgoing. inhibitions get dropped. A higher evolution of this card has processed guilt and shame and released things around guilt and shame. We might feel guilty being supported by others. Or maybe there's some shame, like we're shoulding on ourselves. I should be able to do this myself. Or when it comes to the subconscious, sometimes things get surfaced. Things that we think we processed come back up. Maybe a new light is shed on an old wound. And then this comes up again. Maybe even some shame around health, around mental and physical health. The Queen of Wands would like to remind you that being healthy does not mean being good or better than being unhealthy. It's this process, this ever-going, shifting, transforming, changing thing that happens, health. There's not a good or a bad in terms of like your value as a person. Whew, I feel like that right there is pretty potent, so we can kind of sit with that for a bit. Let's notice the next 3 breaths again. That's nice anchor of 3. Good. From here, we'll come to a side body stretch that can be done both seated or in child's pose. I'll demo it seated. We're just going to reach our arms up and over to the right. That right arm can come down to the floor to stabilize, and that left arm stays lifted. If you're on child's pose, you'll just walk both arms over to the right. So take some time to just breathe into that left side body. Such a beautiful option to be able to kind of feel the rib cage. The rest of your body position is up to you. Just feel that rib cage and that lean over to one side. And those deep, full breaths, all of the air that you're bringing in and all of the air that you're releasing. Just take a few more. Good, another breath. And then as you're ready, come back to center. Just take a moment in your neutral center position to feel any shifts from the left to the right. Was there any space that got created? Any openings? Any release? Whenever you're ready, we'll go to the other side with our side body stretch. See if you can remain rooted in your pelvis here. The movement happens from the side body up. And noticing also the way your weight is being distributed. See if you can find some smoothness. Smoothness in the breath, smoothness in the body. Good. Another deep, full breath. Great, and we'll come back to center. Good, and if you are still in a child's pose, just take one more deep breath here. Big, full exhale, and if you exhale, the front of your chest might kind of drop down towards the floor a little more, and you feel the forehead coming down. Then maybe you thank the floor a little bit, and you can bring your hands down to just kind of lift yourself up, and we'll come to a seat. So we'll all be in a seat together. And then we'll stretch out our legs. So yeah, we'll lengthen our knees. You might even kind of shake out the knees a little bit. Be like, hello, long legs. Good, and then we'll do that thing where we find our sit bones, move our flesh a little bit, spread it out. And now our hands can come outside of our hips. Maybe a little bit of shoulder awareness, just kind of release any tension that happens there. Good. Good. Allow the eyes to close. See if you can visualize your body again, making this right angle, 90-degree angle. And then just feel all the other angles of your body. Feel the bends. Feel any sharpness. I sustain this power and path through the lens of Queen of Wands. There's encouragement to keep going, keep doing it. Sustain, persevere. And in order to keep going, sometimes we need to take moments to stop, to reset, to charge our batteries. Maybe there's some purging that needs to be done. Let's take a deep breath together. Let out all the air. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll bend the right knee and bring the sole of the foot on the floor. We can interlace our fingers behind that shin here. Just kind of take a moment. Just feel that bend. And then as you're ready, you can bring that right foot on the other side of the left leg. So we're just gonna cross it on over. So we're setting up for a twist. So we can ground ourselves with that right hand outside of our hip. And then this left hand or elbow perhaps can come to the outer right knee. And allow the twist to be from the belly up. So twist in the lower back and then kind of build the twist upwards. You might feel it in the shoulders, the clavicles, the neck. And that breath is slow. We'll take 3 more breaths. Then whenever you release that third exhale, we'll come back to center. Right ankle to the left thigh. We'll bend the left knee, bring that foot to the floor now. So we're at this little figure 4. You're welcome to stay seated or bring this to your back. We'll stay here for about 8 or so breaths. You might kind of rock a little bit. We're just feeling an opening up of the hips. So yeah, lots of options. If you're on your back, that might feel nice to rock from side to side there too. And maybe you extend that left knee perhaps if you're lying down. My body is telling me to stay seated. There's something about having my hands on the ground now that I'm benefiting from. Figured I would extend that as well. I'm feeling my hands down here and my heart is lifted up because of the support of my 2 hands. Good. 3 more breaths again. Great. If you're on your back, you can build some momentum by rocking the length of your spine. We'll come back up to a seat. And we'll extend this left leg again. We'll bring this right foot to the inner thigh. Good. And then as you're ready, just ease into a forward fold here. So you're feeling that bend in the right knee, and we're just kind of coming down in the center of it. So feel that long left leg and that outward rotated hip. And then feel the length of your spine and the length of your breath too. And maybe you kind of feel a flow of lifting and lowering with your breaths as you're folding. Another affirmation offered here. I source from the fire within me. I sustain this power and path. I source from the fire within me. So if there's any subconscious blocks that may be influenced by this moon card here, anything that may not make you feel like triumphant and conquering, like some elements of the Three of Pentacles brings, just remind yourself that you got this. You source from your own fire. Another breath, just one. We'll come back up to a seat and we'll straighten both legs. Good. And then just feel any changes from side to side for a couple moments. And then whenever you're ready, bring the awareness back to your seat, to your staff pose, to that right angle of the body, that 90 degrees. And then to pulling that left knee in to bend. Good. So we'll build our twist again, this time on this side. Take plenty of time to just feel that knee become bent. Feel that foot cross over the right leg. Feel what happens in that left thigh and outer hip. And then slowly begin to twist towards the left, feeling it in the abdomen, the muscles that surround the low back, the side body, the shoulders, open chests, and the neck. Bringing the head to look over that shoulder. Good. Notice the next 3 breaths again. Full and complete exhale. And release when you're ready. Come to that figure 4. Left ankle to right thigh now. This can be done seated or on your back. Three more breaths. Good. If you're laying on your back, bring it back to your seat. And we'll come to this next stretch. That foot's now on the inner right thigh. Fold forward when you're ready, just easing into it. Notice the next few breaths. Good. And release when you're ready. And let's come onto our backs now. Let's come there with our knees bent and the soles of the feet on the floor. Good. And then just kind of lift the pelvis, lengthen the length of your back. Good. And we'll do a bridge pose, just one little back bend here. Whenever you're ready, once you have a solid foundation with those feet and shoulders, we'll lift that pelvis up. And take 3 deep breaths here. Feeling the low belly. Good. Release as you're ready. Great. With these next 7 or so minutes, we'll come to our final resting position. So this could be a traditional Shavasana. You can lay flat on your back with extended arms and legs. But you have an option here. Maybe you want to bring your legs up a wall if you have one nearby at home. That might feel nice to come back to that 90-degree angle, but kind of reversed, so allowing things to kind of drop down. Or maybe lie on your side or your belly. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel all parts of the body connecting downwards with the ground. Noticing the foundation. And let's take time now to congratulate any accomplishments we have. Congratulate yourself for just being where you are right now. All of the work that had to be done in order to get here. Yeah, congrats. I'm so proud of you. So many people are proud of you. And allow the body to be scanned here. The awareness kind of goes around to where it's called. And then we'll center our awareness to our head now. And just feeling our facial muscle, our muscles, any expression that was on our face. Softening in the jaw and the eye sockets. Softening towards the ears and scalp. Yeah, and allow that head to get heavy here. I think one thing linking all of these cards is trust. This mountain was built on trust. And an invitation to trust that intuition, to trust these insights that may come when we practice introspection, when we dive deep. Trust that our shadows serve us just as much as our light. And then bringing it all into that trust to our inner Queens of Wands. This liberated, empowered being. Unabashed, unafraid, individual, passionate. Through this lens, things are amplified and strengthened. Trusting of your own power and path, sustaining it. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring the awareness to your hands once again. And wiggle your fingers. And flex them really wide, noticing the webbing of your fingers. And then make really tight fists. You might even feel those fingernails kind of dig into your palms a bit, perhaps. Yeah, right? A tight, firm grip. And maybe you make some circles with the wrists too as you're clenching that inwards. Yeah, and then you can ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Because some things are worth holding on to. Holding on to hope and faith. What helps you keep going? What helps you sustain? And then open the hands wide again and ask yourself, what can I release? And then this release can also be done through the rest of the body. So you might stretch the arms up overhead and lengthen through the feet and wiggle the toes. And yeah, just feel the expansiveness of your body and your breath and your lungs. And maybe you roll onto your side when you're ready. We'll take some moments here to just seal in our practice. And there's no rush, but we'll close out with one another. You might face the screen as you do it, or maybe you just bring your attention there, wherever you are physically. Let's connect with our hearts so we can cross our hands over our chest again, kind of revisiting this embodiment. Good. I hope you feel the support that you need right now. Let's close out with an Om together. We'll inhale to sigh so our breath gets synced, and then we'll inhale to chant. Have a peaceful evening, everyone. Thank you for being here.